blast was picked up by seismologists around the world. The blast had a magnitude of 4.7. Monday's test was more powerful than the first test conducted by Pyongyang back in October 2006. According to some nuclear experts, blasts can actually trigger earthquakes. And for more on whether there is a correlation there, we're joined by Chris Smith. Chris, what can you tell us about this a or not?
Well, you know, it was really fascinating to find out that basically what the blast did is it caused enough of a disruption along the fault line that basically started to cause the fault line to begin to slip. As Andrew was saying, this is the location of the blast, which created basically a false earthquake. It wasn't really an earthquake, but for the USGS, their instruments measured it as a 4.7 magnitude earthquake. Basically the equivalent of about 20 kilotons of energy exploding under the earth. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We have a fault line that runs all the way from the Kuril Islands pretty much all the way down to the Philippines. And it was along this area that we began to see earthquakes after the blast in 2006. Now, geologists went back and were able to draw a correlation because the time period before the blast, it was very, very quiet. As soon as they had the blast, we began to see, well, a quake of 6.0. Down in Japan, they had a quake shortly after. This is within a couple days of a 5.8 magnitude quake. Down in Taiwan, they saw a magnitude quake of about 5.6 down there. And down across the Philippines, and you can see there's the fault line running all the way down through this area. They actually had 10 quakes that measured between 4.2 and 4.3. So geologists went back after the fact, and they believe the power, that 20 kiloton explosion that resulted from the nuclear test back in 2006 was enough to basically shake the earth enough and cause enough of a disruption along these fault lines in the Pacific to cause more earthquakes. It'll be interesting to see, Andrew, over the days and maybe about a week ahead to see if we see this happen again after this test. After all, this one showing up about a half magnitude higher than what we saw back in 2006.
Yeah, fascinating. And I guess there is that if this theory is true, excuse me, that the level of the earthquakes will be stronger this time because it was a stronger blast. Is that right?
I don't know if we'll be able to draw a correlation like that. We may see an increase in the number of quakes, but as far as the strength of the quakes, there's a lot that goes into that. But it'll be certainly interesting to see over the weeks ahead, and we'll have to keep an eye across Japan back down to the Philippines where we see more of those quakes.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, good stuff. Thanks very much.